Hey everyone, welcome back. So in your last module, we mapped out the global caloric crisis. We looked at broad energy deficits and, what happens when populations simply don't have enough food to eat. But today we're going to explore a completely different side of malnutrition. We're diving into a really devastating phenomenon known as hidden hunger. And we're going to look at exactly how it impacts the human body on a microscopic cellular level.
Here's the crazy thing about hidden hunger. A person can easily consume enough total calories every single day to maintain their weight or even gain weight. But if their diet lacks variety and essential nutrient density, that exact same person can actually be severely malnourished. Hidden hunger is exactly what it sounds like. It's specific micronutrient deficiencies hiding right behind a sufficient or even abundant total caloric intake.
2 billion. Let that number sink in for a second. Over 2 billion people worldwide currently experience these hidden micronutrient shortages. That is roughly a quarter of the global population walking around with critical biological deficiencies that you just can't see by looking at them.
So here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, unmasking hidden hunger. Then we'll cover vitamin A, iron, iodine, and zinc, before wrapping things up with the generational cycle.
All right, part 1, unmasking hidden hunger. If you're taking notes, definitely jot these down. Vitamin A, iron, iodine, and zinc. These are the big 4 vitamins and minerals identified as the absolute top global public health concerns. When global health organizations are tackling hidden hunger, these 4 are the critical clinical targets. Let's look at why, starting with the very first one on our list.
Moving on to part 2, vitamin A, vision.
Now, vitamin A's role goes way beyond just eyesight. It's absolutely critical for cellular growth, reproduction, and keeping your immune system robust. But the crucial point is what happens clinically when a developing child doesn't get enough of it. I really want you to memorize this vital term, Xerophthalmia. This is the leading cause of childhood blindness globally, and it is entirely caused by severe vitamin A deficiency. It's just a devastating outcome for something that's biologically preventable.
And it doesn't stop at blindness. Dry skin and stunted growth are also hallmark clinical symptoms. But here's the real invisible threat: immune weakness. A lack of this vitamin significantly weakens a child's immune system, which drastically increases their risk of dying from common infections that they otherwise would have survived.
Okay, but here's some incredible news, driven by some really phenomenal intervention data. Providing high-dose vitamin A supplements to kids in high-risk areas, just twice a year, reduces childhood blindness by an astonishing 70%. It also drops overall mortality rates by 23%.
And get this, it's not just about medical supplements either. Here's a surprising dietary fact for you. One single medium baked sweet potato provides the full adult recommended dietary allowance for vitamin A, just through dietary beta-carotene. The solutions are out there and they are accessible, which makes solving this ongoing deficiency all the more urgent.
All right, section 3, iron, productivity, and poverty.
Now we're going to look at the most prevalent micronutrient shortage on the entire planet. And we're going to view it not just biologically, but through the lens of productivity and poverty. Biologically speaking, iron is the structural backbone of hemoglobin. Why does that matter to us? Well, hemoglobin is the protein in your red blood cells that's required to deliver oxygen to your brain and your muscles. Without iron, your body's oxygen delivery system basically crashes.
So how does a biological crash build into a massive socioeconomic cycle? It's like a domino effect. Step 1 is iron deficiency. That leads straight into step 2, cognitive and physical exhaustion, simply because the brain and muscles are literally starved of oxygen. That creates step 3, lowered productivity. People just cannot work or study at their full capacity when they're that exhausted, which finally results in step 4, increased global poverty. Eliminating iron deficiency anemia isn't just a health goal, right? It acts as a major economic lever for reducing world poverty.
Section 4. Iodine. Metabolism.
Iodine plays a fundamental role in regulating your body's entire metabolic rate via the thyroid hormones. When whole populations lack iodine in their diet, the most recognizable clinical sign is something called a goiter. This is a visibly enlarged thyroid gland right in the neck. Basically, the gland is working overtime, swelling up to capture any tiny trace of iodine it can find to produce those essential hormones.
But the damage you can't see? That's much worse. High regional rates of iodine deficiency can literally lower the average IQ of an entire population. It fundamentally alters a region's collective cognitive capacity. Just imagine the long-term impact that has on how a society develops.
Section 5, zinc, growth and maturation.
Which brings us to the final member of our Big Four, zinc. Zinc serves as an essential biological catalyst for the immune system, physical growth, and sexual maturation. Because of its role in cellular division, getting adequate zinc is absolutely necessary to prevent stunted growth in children. A severe deficiency literally, physically stops a child's body from developing the way it should.
And the life-or-death difference zinc makes is pretty striking. Malnourished kids without adequate zinc suffer from severe diarrheal disease, which is actually a leading cause of global child mortality. But with simple zinc supplementation, both the severity and the duration of that diarrhea drop significantly. It is absolutely a life-saving intervention.
Finally, Section 6, the generational cycle.
So, we've looked at the Big Four at the cellular and clinical levels. But you have to remember, these deficiencies don't just affect individuals in a vacuum. They trap entire generations. It all connects right back to maternal health. During pregnancy, a mother's iron needs just skyrocket to support the developing fetus. If she's iodine deficient, the fetus might suffer from permanent intellectual disability, a condition called congenital hypothyroidism. On top of that, a developing fetus demands a lot of zinc. If the mother's zinc levels are low, she'll deplete her own stores, which often leads to a dangerous deficiency in the newborn. Low fetal stores basically guarantee this tragic cycle of hidden hunger continues before the child takes their very first breath.
Okay, so we've covered the global crisis, but I want to leave you with a somewhat provocative question today. How might this global hidden hunger, people consuming plenty of calories but starving for micronutrients, be happening right in our own backyards? Think for a second about the nutrient density of the highly processed foods so readily available all around us. I want you to keep this question at the front of your mind because it perfectly tees up your next lesson, where we're going to explore food insecurity right here in the United States. Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.